Our next guest visited with Terri just before she died. Father Frank Pavone was very vocal about keeping her alive, and his efforts came under fire by Michael Schiavo's attorney, George Filos.
Father Pavone, instead of words of reconciliation, instead of words of healing, instead of words of compassion or understanding, which you might expect from a spiritual person, we had a platform for ideological agenda.
Father Frank Pavone is the National Director of Priests for Life, and he joins us from Pinellas Park, Florida, once again today. Good morning to you, Father Frank.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
It's good to have you as well to get your side of the story. So at the end of Terri Schiavo's life, you were there in the hospice, and there was a family feud. And can you tell us what happened?
Yes, I'll tell you exactly what happened, and it goes back to the previous evening. We were in there. I was there together with Bobby and Suzanne until after midnight. And then Michael came by to visit, and we were told that he'd be visiting for a while. Bobby said, please let us know exactly when his visit is done. Well, we were waiting hour after hour. I was up with them all night, and 7 in the morning we were still being told no visitors. Then we got in from 7:30 until just about 10 minutes before she died yesterday morning, and praying with her and sitting there with her. And then when we were asked to leave because of a medical assessment that had to be made, Bobby got very concerned that he wasn't going to be let back in until after she died, which is in fact what happened. So his request was, even if Michael is in the room, let me be in the room also. And that's the request which Michael denied.
Well, Father, yesterday I'm sure you, if you didn't see it, George Filos' comments, I mean, your name was brought up a lot in his statement after Terri's death, and he accused you of spewing venom, and that there could have been maybe a compromise between the Schiavos and the Schindlers had you not been so vehement with your statements.
Well, certainly my statements are simply accurately describing what happened. I said that Terri was killed, and the family is certainly completely in agreement with that. You know, it's one thing to avoid bitterness, but avoiding bitterness does not justify avoiding truth and accuracy. And you know, this dispute between the families existed long before I got to know them, and I have spoken words of reconciliation and compassion. I don't blame Mr. Filos for not hearing everything that I say and listening to every interview I give. But just a few weeks ago, preaching on the world's largest religious cable network, I was reaching out directly to Michael, and I was pleading and begging with him to sit down and talk and to bring about some reconciliation.
Okay, Father Frank Pavone, please stay with us. We've got to take a quick time out. More with him after this. Father Frank Pavone is the National Director of Priests for Life and joins us from Pinellas Park, Florida. Father, we can't undo what has been done. What do you hope good could come out of it?
We have to see the question before us clearly, and the question is this. Some people are saying Terri's death was a merciful act. And the question, however, that's not answered is who's entitled to this mercy if that's the case. Terri had one particular type of suffering, but there are many types of suffering. I could look at many people in many conditions and say, I would not want to live that way. I could say that about the people living in poverty in our inner cities. I would not want to live that way. But what does that mean? That somebody has the right to put them to death? Hopefully what this will lead to is a very careful consideration of all these deeper moral questions, and a debate that is conducted with civility and with clarity.
Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much, Father Frank Pavone.
My pleasure.
All right.